We're getting reaction to the State of the Union from members of Congress. Representative Tim Kennedy, Democrat from New York, member of the Homeland Security and Veterans Affairs Committees, serves the 26th District of New York. Representative Kennedy, good morning.
Morning, Pedro.
What was the takeaway from last night?
Well, unfortunately, it was exactly what we expected. More division, more hate, more lies from the President of the United States in a time where we are looking for unifying our country and moving our country forward. This president continued his consistent lies to the American people. And it's unfortunate that my congressional Republican colleagues just totally embraced all of that hate. And so, we're looking for better days ahead. When we're talking about what the American people are suffering through right now, this affordability crisis brought on by President Trump and congressional Republicans' failed policies over the last year, I believe this president totally missed the mark in this speech last night.
How would you identify some of the lies, or what lie specifically stands out according to your mind?
Well, the president stood there in front of the world last night and said that the cost of living across this great nation is becoming more affordable. Everyone knows that's just not true. The cost of groceries have gone up. The cost of utilities have gone up. The cost of rent and housing has gone up. The cost of health care has skyrocketed. And then the president doubled down on his tariffs that have driven up costs for the American people. Trump's tariff tax that was just ruled unconstitutional by his own hand-picked Supreme Court justices. And then what does he do? He puts in new tariffs just to inflict more financial pain upon the American people. And then he tries to tell the American people, while he's kicking millions of people off of their health insurance and kicking millions of people off of nutritional assistance, that their lives are better, that their health care is better. It's just totally unfounded and preposterous. And the American people are smarter than what this president thinks they are. He thinks the American people bought his nonsense last night, and I have news for him. They certainly did not.
When you were in the chamber, there was that portion where the president asked those standing up when it comes to this idea of sanctuary cities and immigration. What was your position, and how did you react to that?
The president thought that this was theater last night. To him, it was. This was a show for him. Stand up, sit down. One of your callers was just mentioning the Republicans. They couldn't help themselves, jumping out of their seat, hanging on every word that he said. It was embarrassing to watch what the Republicans were doing left and right. I had colleagues of mine on the other side of the aisle last night telling me how tired their legs were from standing up and sitting down. It was outrageous. The bottom line is the American people are hurting right now. And they are hurting. They're having difficulty paying the bills. They're having difficulty putting food on the table. And they're having difficulty affording health care because it's been decimated by this president and congressional Republicans. And what did they do last night? They took a victory lap for the chaos and the dysfunction that they have perpetuated upon the American people. And so we weren't going to participate in this president's performative nonsense.
Do you think there's potential political damage from that video of Democrats not standing up? Do you think that plays out going into midterms as well?
They're going to try to make it political. They're going to try to make it theatrical. They're going to try to tell that is the story for the American people. The American people are smarter than what Donald Trump and congressional Republicans are trying to sell to them right now. People know firsthand that working families in this country that are struggling to pay the bills are dealing with an affordability crisis that is of generational proportions. At the same time, billionaires in this country, because of the failed policies of Trump and congressional Republicans, are making out just fine. So there is a huge divide between working class citizens in this country and the billionaire class. And it's Donald Trump and Republicans that are supporting the billionaires and the super ultra wealthy in this country. And it's Democrats that are standing up for working families.
Some of the cities that you serve are Buffalo, Niagara Falls, Amherst. You're part of something called the Northern Border Caucus. take that and talk about what the president said last night when it comes to tariffs. You mentioned the Supreme Court decision, but when it comes to the future of tariff policy, particularly, how does that affect for those you serve?
Well, first of all, these Trump tariffs are inflicting more financial pain across the United States. Over $250 billion has been taken illegally out of the pockets of consumers in this country because of these illegal tariffs that the Supreme Court have just ruled unconstitutional. Again, what does Donald Trump do? He doubles down and he puts more tariffs on the American people. The bottom line is this: whether you're on a northern border like myself or in the interior of the United States, East Coast, West Coast, the Trump tariffs have inflicted financial pain and have driven up the cost of living across the board. And the bottom line is, while the Supreme Court has ruled them unconstitutional, he ought to listen to his own hand-picked Supreme Court. He ought to listen to the American people, rescind these tariffs that are hurting the public here in the United States, that are hurting our relationships with our greatest allies and trading partners across the globe, that are saying that these tariffs are hurting the relationships that have been built by generations of Americans and by administration after administration for over 100 years that have dealt with the economy across the globe in order to create prosperity for the American people. The tariffs are hurting the people in this country, and this president ought to rescind them entirely right now.
I imagine being on the border of Canada, that give you a certain aspect as well.
Yeah. In the Buffalo and Western New York region, I have 4 bridges into Canada in my district, and we are hurt uniquely. There are tens of thousands of jobs that are supported in the United States by our Canadian partners. You know, there's $1.3 trillion worth of goods and services that cross the Canadian border. It's the largest border, contiguous border in the entire world, 5,000 miles between the United States and Canada. Our greatest ally, our greatest trade partner. And what does this president do? He attacks them. He attacks them with tariffs. He attacks them with his hateful, divisive, negative rhetoric, and he has driven Canadians away from visiting our country, coming over to the Western New York region, coming into the interior of the United States, going to Florida, going to California, going to the great tourist destinations. They're making decisions. Our great friends and neighbors in Canada, we love you. We want you to come visit our great country. We are your friends, we are your partners, and we are your allies. So don't listen to this president and the negativity, because you've got a hell of a lot more friends here in the United States than you have people like Donald Trump trying to drive a wedge between us.
Before we let you go, you are a member of the Homeland Security Committee. What is your perspective on some type of resolve happening between Democrats and Republicans getting partial funding back to Homeland Security?
Well, Donald Trump and congressional Republicans would rather shut down TSA, shut down the Coast Guard, and shut down FEMA, rather than make accountability measures to an out-of-control agency, ICE, that's killed 2 American citizens and has terrorized thousands of others across this country. They have invaded our cities, and they have hurt the American people with their unconstitutional actions that have violated civil rights. They have violated human rights. They have violated constitutional rights across the board. And we want simple accountability measures. And until they provide those accountability measures, we are standing with the American people and saying that the people deserve better than what this administration is giving them.
Representative Tim Kennedy, Democrat from New York, serves the 26th district of the state. Thanks for your time this morning.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Pedro.